Good morning and welcome, everybody. My name is Kaylee Mitchell with the Ohio Pork Council. And at Ohio Pork, I have the honor of working with and on behalf of Ohio pig farmers, like the one we'll be visiting very shortly, to help them in their mission to provide safe, affordable, and nutritious pork products while also taking great care of the pigs, people, and planet while doing so. We are so glad that you have joined us this morning for a live virtual tour of a pig farm with Farmer Anthony, where he will share how he cares for his pigs every single day, while also working to protect the environment. Before we go out to the farm, I would like to take care of a couple housekeeping items so you'll know how to interact with us this morning. We want to make this trip as engaging and interactive as possible and encourage you to submit your questions to ask our farmer. If you're joining us via Zoom, we invite you to submit your questions to us at any time throughout the trip by clicking the Q&A button found at the bottom of the Zoom window. We will try to have our farmer answer as many questions as possible during today's trip. We're also live streaming this trip to YouTube, and if you happen to be watching us there, please note that the live chat function has been turned off to allow the video to stream without restrictions on school devices, so you can sit back and enjoy the trip. However, if you're joining us via YouTube and have some questions that you would like to ask our farmer, please feel free to go back to the registration email that you received and join us via Zoom to do so. With all of that being said, let's go ahead and introduce our farmer and get this trip started. Today, we have the pleasure of connecting live with Farmer Anthony from a pig farm here in Ohio. We look forward to learning about all the ways Farmer Anthony and his family care for their pigs. Good morning, Farmer Anthony. Do you want to start off by telling us a little bit about yourself and the farm that you work at and what you do there on a daily basis?
Well, good morning, Kaylee. We are live to you from our nursery here in Northwest Ohio, where we take care of pigs. We are a wean to finish operation, so we get pigs in at around 21 days old, or about 12 pounds, and we raise them up to around 290 to 300 pounds on our farm before they go off. And then we also are a grain operation where we take care and farm around 1,200 acres of corn, wheat, and soybeans for our farm. So that's kind of a little bit of our farm and our operation. It's pretty much just me and my dad and my kids that do most of the work here on the farm. We do have a couple hired high schoolers that come and help load fat hogs, which we will be doing here later this afternoon.
Awesome. Thanks for that introduction, Farmer Anthony. If you want to go ahead and turn your camera around and tell us a little bit about what we're seeing there on the farm, that would be fantastic.
Yep. So these pigs actually came in on Tuesday. We've got about 1,000 in here so far into a 2,400 head barn. So these pigs came in on Tuesday. They were weaned Tuesday morning, and they are on a pellet diet so far. Usually our pigs are on a pellet diet for about 3 days, which is the same type of food that they eat at the sow farm before they come. And then after that 3 days, and they've had about their 2 pounds of pellets per pig, then we transition over to a corn and soybean diet that they will basically finish out on the rest of the time that they're here. Our corn and soybean diet, we actually have 21 different diets or different rations of food that they will be on from the time that they're here to the time that they go out, and that is basically consists of corn and soybean for the most part, and then a bunch of minerals and nutrition that they need in order, just like us needing our vitamins and everything. And then along with that, we will use a little bit of bakery byproduct and DDGs from the ethanol plant in our rations on this.
Awesome. Thank you so much for that introduction, Farmer Anthony, and telling us a little bit about the pigs that you have on your farm. We do have some questions here that have been submitted from some of our classes. And this first question that we have is, what breed of pigs do you have on your farm?
Yep. So these are a mix of breeds. There is some Duroc and Hamp on the male side, and the female side, I'm not sure exactly what line that they are using. These are not purebreds at all. These are basically bred to be good mothers and good sound body conditions between the different breeds of hogs that we have, and basically they're done for meat quality. Is what these are bred for. So that way we make sure that we've got a good healthy pig that provides a good nourishment.
Awesome. Thank you, Farmer Anthony. We have another question here from one of our classes joining us on Zoom, and they would like to know if you could discuss some of the advancements that your farm has made over time.
Sure. When I was a little kid, we used to farrow to finish in a sow farm where the old wooden barns that you see, where we would keep the pigs underneath the straw mow, and every few days we would toss new straw down into the pens. To be able to have ample bedding, and then have to be able to take that out during the summertime, or like days like today, where it's going to be 80, 85 degrees. The pigs really wouldn't do much during the day. And that's basically because there wasn't much air moving, or it was just hot for them. Pigs aren't able to sweat on their own. So that's really why you see pigs kind of burrow down into mud holes and stuff like that in order to be able to keep cool. But that also came with its challenges in the middle of the winter time, when you have frozen water lines and dealing with that. The advancements for now that we have, and being in temperature controlled buildings, you really don't see much of a difference at all from wintertime to summertime. They really don't know. It's 80 degrees, 82 degrees in here today, but that's because we have it to where it's 82 degrees. Last night, we have heaters that run in here, and last night we ran right around minutes to be able to keep it 82 degrees. Able to keep our temperature control.
All right, everybody, just give us 1 minute and we will get Farmer Anthony joined back with us here shortly. There
Did
we
I
go. It
lose?
looks like we have, yeah, there we go. We have Farmer Anthony back with us.
Sorry about that, everyone. Sometimes
I
I think that's the first time we've ever had that happen, being on the virtual field tours. So
All right, Farmer
as
Anthony,
I
if you want to just rotate your phone before we get started, that would be awesome. There we go.
that better?
Yes.
Okay. So as I was saying, the temperature control barns and being able to keep our temperatures where they need to be allows us to raise the best pigs that we can, and to be able to keep them healthy. So that's really the biggest thing of modern barns compared to what we used to have to deal with. As you can see, these pigs are clean. They're not wallowing around in their own manure or anything. Our pigs are a very clean animal. So they actually will use just one corner of the pen in order to do their business in. And then that leaves the rest of the pen to be clean to where they can lay around in this. One of the misconceptions that we have a lot of times that you'll read on the internet or something like that is that our pigs are too cramped up into the pens, and that all you see is a pig that's piled up. Well, pigs are are an animal that are always close to each other. You can kind of see over there in the corner there, they're all piled up on each other, and that's just because that's what their nature is. They're always laying together, and that is what they do. So it's not a matter of that we don't give them enough room in modern hog barns, or they're not able to do what they want. Pretty much these guys, as soon as they come in, they either lay down or, as you can see, they're sitting there fighting and finding out who the boss hog is in the pen.
Awesome, Farmer Anthony. We have another good question here from one of our classes that's joining us. And they pointed out that this past week or this current week we had Earth Day, and they would like to know what are some of those things that your family does to protect the environment and the earth as farmers?
Sure. Well, the life cycle of a pig is perfect for us on the farm. I mean, we grow the corn, soybeans, and the wheat that goes into feeding these guys. They grow, provide us a good nourishment meal, through pork chops, bacon, and everything. And then we, in turn, are using the manure to go back onto our crops. We are soil sampling and doing all of that to make sure that we're putting the right nutrients on that's needed for our crops over the next 2 or 3 years when we're applying manure. So it's a big it's very important for us to be able to take care of their environment. My grandfather and father have always instilled that they don't you just can't go out and make new land. You've got to preserve what we have and make sure that we are doing the right thing and being stewards for the land for our kids and my grandkids coming up. So
Awesome. Thanks, Farmer Anthony. We have a question here from Miss Barrett's class from Summer and Mason, and they would like to know how you identify your different pigs and if they have ear tags like cattle do.
So some we don't usually have ear tags here. Now some do, depending on what sow farm they're coming from. And the reason that they do some of those ear tags is because they might be doing some testing at the sow farms to know where things are coming from, and just to be able to to see how maybe they're trying a different food ration or trying a different type of nutrient for these pigs. The one thing that we do have that these pigs do have is ear notches. I'm not sure if you can see it in their left ear, what would be the pig's left ear. But we do have ear notches, and that allows us to know what pig came from which farm. So our nursery receives pigs. This time, when we fill the nursery, we're going to receive pigs from 4 different sow farms. So it's important for us to be able to have the notches to know if we're seeing maybe some lameness or some sickness come from the pigs as they come into our farm. We can kind of let the sow farm know that, hey, we're starting to see this. Maybe it's something you need to check and make sure that they're staying on top of it, and it allows us to be able to be better stewards for the pigs and to make sure that they're being cared for as much as what they need to.
Farmer Anthony, we have a question here from Miss Christie's class. And I'm not sure if you know the answer to this, so this might be a fun one, but they would like to know if you know about how many pounds of food your pigs eat per day.
So in terms of pounds per food, I will tell you that we go through around, in a 2,400 head barn, when we're finishing up, just before we're ready to start selling out, we're going through about 14,000 pounds of food a day. These guys here, when we're ready to move them out, when they're about 40 days old, we will go through about 2,500 on a side. So roughly about 5,000 pounds a day we will go through on that. Now, as far as how much they grow, these guys, when they're in the nursery here, if you had one of those bite-sized Snickers bars, that's how much they grow every hour that they're in here. And then on the finishing side, if you have a regular size Snickers bar, that's pretty much what they average an hour of rate of gain while they're in the finishing barn. So we go from about 12.5 pounds to 300 pounds in about 165 to 170 days.
That is great. Thank you, Farmer Anthony, for giving us that comparison with the candy bars. I think that is a great way to relate that back to those of us maybe not involved in agriculture. We do have another question here from Miss Christie's class, and they would like to know if you work with a veterinarian to help treat sick pigs or identify sick pigs.
So the farm that we actually grow the hordes, who we grow the pigs for, they actually have their own veterinarian that's on staff. And we can contact them if we have any problems or anything. But we pretty much do all the treating ourselves. As far as anyone that's sick or if we have problems, we can reach out to our vet and maybe he can prescribe something if we need to. But really, when we're looking at taking care of our pigs, we're looking at more a one-off, maybe a lame pig or just a pig that isn't feeling very good here or there. A lot of talk is around medication antibiotics that we give to our pigs. And we don't really use that much antibiotics at all. When I talk in terms of groups, I always talk in groups of 2,400 head that's in our barns. And we might treat maybe 20 to 30 pigs with a shot or an antibiotic in order to kind of help them feel better. But that's really minuscule compared to what is out there that people try to say to what we use.
Farmer Anthony, we have another question here from one of our classes, and they would like to know, they can see the feeders that are in your pig pens, but they were curious where the water access is for your pigs.
Yep. So you can see this water line coming from the ceiling there. That comes down into that baffle there, and then basically they have a pan that those guys are able to drink out of. Same thing with our feed lines. Our feed lines are all from the ceiling and wrap around all the way from the back and around the other side behind me that do all the feeding. And then up on the ceiling, you can be able to see those rectangles up there. That's where all the fresh air comes into for our pigs. So we have fans that are in here, and I'll spin around here. So we have fans that are on the wall, and those are what takes all of the heat and everything and brings in fresh air from the ceiling, and then allows our pigs to live in a great environment.
Awesome. Thanks for sharing that, Farmer Anthony. I want to take a moment to encourage our classes that are joining us this morning that if you have any questions for Farmer Anthony, please feel free to submit those at this time. We have just a few more minutes left in our virtual field trip, and we want to make sure to get everybody's questions answered. And thank you, Miss Christie. She has another question from her class for you, Farmer Anthony, and they would like to know about how many pigs are usually in a litter.
Yep. So the average litter size is somewhere between 12 and 14 pigs per litter. And that's pretty much average. You could, some sows get up into the 18, 19, but for the most part, the average is in that 12 to 14 range on that. And then the gestation cycle for our pigs are the triple threes: 3 months, 3 weeks, and 3 days.
Great. Well, Farmer Anthony, it appears as though we've answered everybody's questions this morning. So I want to take this time now to thank everybody for joining us this morning. If there are any classrooms that need to disconnect at this time, please feel free to do so. And we thank you for joining us. Farmer Anthony, again, this has been fantastic, and we thank you again for taking some time to connect with us this morning. We know that you are busy trying to get in the fields and get your pigs moved into the barn, so we appreciate you taking some time this morning to talk with us. As we wrap up, we want to be sure to let everybody know that there'll be a post-tour survey open in your browser upon the conclusion of the tour and in a follow-up email that you'll receive in the next 24 hours. We would greatly appreciate you taking a moment to complete that survey to help us evaluate our trips. Speaking of trips, Ohio Pork has a few more field trips on the calendar for this fall. So we invite you to head over to, or for the spring, sorry, wow. We invite you to head over to ohiopork.org/youth education/virtual field trip or visit virtualfarmtrips.com to see that schedule. On behalf of the Ohio Pork Council and Ohio Pig Farmers, Farmer Anthony, and our technical producer, Dan Tolan, we thank you again for joining us. We hope you have a safe and happy rest of your week and hope to see you on a virtual field trip again soon. Have a great day.
Thanks, everyone.